Ms. Chernin is here, and what she's going to do is introduce you to Artemis, which is the program. And the next question that we're going to be answering in order to complete our sound unit to get you ready in order to design your own experiments is, now that we know how sound is produced, all right, what it takes, how do we vary the dimensions of pitch and amplitude, then what we're going to do now is how does sound travel, okay? And what we're going to do is do some information. Jan will take you through a process, and then you'll go on to the computers, work on Artemis, and you're going to take notes, and then we're going to come back and generate the notes on the board for everybody. Then what we'll do is we're going to use that information to go into a program which is called Sound Edit, okay? And we'll talk more about that a little bit later, okay?
We've looked at some general search engines for you to find information for some of your projects. We've looked at some databases that we have at school on our website, like Electric Library. We've looked at some magazine indexes. You've used those to find information on fast food. And now we're going to look at another database. This is a database that it's a collection of websites that have been collected by the Digital Library Project at the University of Michigan. So it seems like you're going out on a search engine, but you're really not. You're searching on a controlled database.
What I tried to show is that we have students use a variety of search engines in order to look for background information. I wanted to show that I don't lecture, that I'll ask questions and ask them to give me what it is that they found. And since they'll use a variety of techniques within the same search engine, they will ask different questions to get at the same information that I might want, or they might use a different search engine. That's what makes it exciting, is that they'll bring in different pieces of the puzzle, and then we're able to draw and build on that and create a whole picture. So what we do is we try and engage Jan, who is our media specialist and our librarian, and then she'll gather the kids either in the library, or now that we have our iMac, she comes to our classrooms and shows us how to do that. So depending on what search engine she's introducing will depend on how she'll tell the kids they're allowed to search for that information. Because the students learn that sound travels, I wanted them to see that there's the way that sound travels through a longitudinal wave, and then also what we see though on the program we were going to see in Sound Edit was the transitional wave, like they see in an oscilloscope. So I wanted them to understand, okay, now that you're going to see this wave, are you going to know how to count how many vibrations per second there are, and how would you do that? And what is it, that will tell you that you're measuring amplitude, and so that they have some information before they go into that program and look at this wave and say, okay, now what do I do? So if they research that information, we brought it together in just a shortened version, and so that they can then do some of that learning through the program, then that is what we intended to do.
The teacher and a media specialist work together to explain the Artemis Digital Library.
You really have to sort of know the discipline where you need to retrieve your information from. So which one of these do you think we're going to search for information on sound?
Physical science. What's that spell?
Well, what is sound? What is sound? Is one of our senses, right? And senses are part of the body, whether it's human or animal. So what is light when you're studying light? Physical science is a good guess, but I would pick biology. Let's try both ways that we talked about before. Let's enter our question that we have come up with. What was our question?
How does sound travel?
How does sound travel? Let's type that in the search box. And if she scrolls down, she's going to get 3 different selections of websites, okay? And notice there's just a small selection. If she hits sound waves or longitudinal waves, let's hit sound waves. This is actually, she's going to click on the hyperlink up here, the blue hyperlink. There was a brief description of that website, so you could read that description to see if it would be helpful to you. And now this is the website.
The students then use Artemis to search for information on sound waves to prepare for a class discussion.
I mean, here's a thought for an experiment for you, if you're thinking of something like that. Now if that intrigues you, there are experiments that you can design to see. And you can try testing sound as it moves through the air, and then take the same thing and take that frequency and move it through liquid. And we have things to set up there, and then through a solid, and see what you notice. Okay? And the gas would be just as we do it right here. Okay? You wouldn't take someone's word for it. You would want to see if they're right or not, right? So that could be a suggestion you might want to tuck away. And by searching through these things, you'll come up with many other ideas based on what intrigues you with the information you find. And that's part of the reason why you also do these searches.
After completing their searches, the students share the information they found with the rest of the class.
Okay. Can I start?
Yep.
Okay. Sound travels by movement. Without movement, you can't have sound. So what happens is an object moves. The waves hit the molecules, and the molecules move, and that's what creates the sound.
Okay. So we have movement of molecules. Okay. So give me an example of molecules that would move in order to transmit sound. Bram?
Air molecules.
Okay, so how does sound travel? By moving molecules, right?
The teacher gives the students a brief explanation about how to use Sound Edit software to learn about sound waves.
Is you're going to move that, and this is where you're going to set your frequency and your amplitude, all right? I'll show you that again. Right here under the extras box, there's a box here with waves, and that is where you're going to, set your different frequencies, all right? So what was the first frequency on your lab?
400.
Okay, so I want to put 400. Okay, and what was the amplitude?
100.
We're setting it at 100, okay?
25%?
No.
No, this is, because all we're doing is amplitude here. Okay, I'm going to press OK, and then I have this. Now, this is what's going to happen. That looks pretty garbled, doesn't it? Well, down here, you have this little box, and you're going to move this arrow over to here, and then it shows you what your wave is, okay? Now, I can play this wave by putting the cursor over to the end and then going under Control and play. All right? So that plays that particular frequency.
The students end the day by experimenting with the software to see what kind of data they can record and measure. They write their observations in composition books so they can use the information in the future.
400. It works. No, if 400, I write about it. Alright, play it.
And then for this thing, it's 100.
That tone. Get away. And make the screen vibrate. Oh god, we gotta try it. Alright, 800.
What are you doing?
You just find the tone. That's what we have to do.
So you have to go back. We have to do all
We'll have to find the tone. Yes, find the tone.
800.
Remember where it was? It was in that folder. I don't know why it was in there, but it was.
Hey, do you have sound edit?
They're after me.
Wait, don't. Yes.
Yeah, okay, great.
I'm sorry. So we draw the whole thing?
What frequency?
You just draw just like a little bit. Yeah. So the first one is 400. And it's like...
Okay,
Hey, here. Should we draw the...
no drawing scale.
No, I want you to draw it in your comp book,
Next one is 800.
because you won't be able to get that much in there.